Rose. It's finally nice to meet you.
You too.
How was your morning?
Yeah, it was alright. Just went for breakfast.
Yeah, what did you have for breakfast?
Downstairs actually.
Did you try the egg Savani?
No, I had avocado.
Oh, yeah, it's actually a ritual here. All the advisors love an eggs Benny on a Friday.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tradition.
Yeah. So, did the girls offer you a tea or coffee?
Yeah, but I just wanted some water.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so on the phone, we didn't get into too much detail, but why are you here to see us today? What is important to you?
Well, I'm here because we feel like the mortgage and credit card are a massive burden on our current cash flow, and we would like to become debt free.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that we're not invincible because Robert's older brother suffered a heart attack in his mid-30s and has 2 kids.
I'm pretty sorry to hear that.
And we're worried if the same happens to us or we pass away, we'd be financially devastated.
Yeah.
And we really want to get Robert's superannuation in order, as he currently does not know how his money is invested.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's not a problem.
And as we've heard on the news that the current outlook of the international economy is looking poor, we would like to have his money invested as diversified as possible.
Okay, yeah.
Another concern would be the kids' education.
Yep.
As they currently attend public school here on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Although we would prefer them to be attending Prince High School, but don't know how we will afford that.
Yeah, it's a very nice school. The one on the Gold Coast Highway.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
The boys are massive football fans, so we would like to attend an English soccer match in the next few years as well.
Who do they support?
West Ham.
Oh, not a very good team, are they?
Yeah, no, they're shockers.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Yeah.
And that's about it.
Okay, so let me just break this down for you. So you have about 4 or 5 goals that you're probably looking for advice on there. So the first one is to pay off your mortgage and credit card debt as soon as possible. You also would like to review Robert's superannuation to make sure that he's in line with his investment goals. Try and get him to diversify as possible. Yeah, okay, that's cool. You also both want to assess your insurance needs. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So you also got 2 savings goals. You want to save for the kids' education, and you also want to go on an overseas trip to the UK in the next few years. Okay, and you also want to review your cash flow by the sounds of it to achieve these goals. That's excellent. Well, based on what you've said, I'm confident we can give you advice on all of them areas.
Perfect.
But first, before we start, let me just give you a run through about how the financial planning process works.
Okay.
Okay, so it's broken down into 6 key points. So, number 1 is where we gather all your information. Right, so that's what you've already done. So you've completed the fact find for us.
Yeah.
So number 2 is which is today, where we'll go through and we'll establish what's important to you. We'll establish your goals and how you want to achieve them. So you've got your goals, so we establish. Number 3 is that we'll go through and we'll analyse them goals, see if they're achievable or not. So we'll analyse. Then we'll develop a plan to match them goals and how you can achieve it. Now, if you're happy with this plan and it meets what your goals, what you are setting out to achieve, then we'll go forward and we'll implement them moving forward. And then finally, each year we'll monitor and review and see how them goals and see how you're tracking towards them goals. How does that sound?
Great.
Okay. Well, secondly, before we move any further, we just need to run through the important documentation. This is designed if you want to go forward with our financial services that we're offering. So I'll just quickly run you through it. It's an FSG guide, which is the Financial Services Guide.
Yeah.
So the first section runs through who we are and what the services that we offer. So we specialise in life insurance, government debentures, stocks, mutual funds, superannuation, pensions, savings and term deposits. And then if you flip to the second page, it runs through the documentation that you're going to receive. So there's 3 key pieces of documentation. The first one is your statement of advice. That is your big major document. This sets out the reasons for the advice and the details about remuneration payable. The second one is if you proceed with the statement of advice is what you will receive 1 year later, which is called a record of advice. These are for smaller circumstances where we provide advice on small investment balances or strategy advice. So portfolio rebalances, things like that.
Yeah.
And it also outlines the advice that why and the reasons why we're doing it. Finally, we've got the PDS. The PDS is your product disclosure statement.
Okay.
This gives information about the financial products, features, fees and benefits and risks relation to any section of the product. Right, so then this comes to the third section. Third section here, it talks about the fees and other costs associated for the services we provide.
Mm-hmm.
It also explains the remunerations that we will receive any products you proceed with under our advice.
Yep.
The final section, and I hope it never really comes to this, but this is the complaint section. So this just gives you a breakdown of if you have any issues with us or you have any feedback to give. It shows where it goes first. So firstly, it states it, just come to us, contact us, we can have a chat and sort through it.
Yeah.
If not, there's Count's email address and contact details, and then you can pursue it there.
Okay.
And then finally, about the FSG, is just my advisor service number. So this just gives you my authorised representative number and my professional background. How does that sound? Do you wish to proceed?
Sounds great.
Perfect.
Based on what I've heard, we're keen to proceed. So this is just general advice on our situation. Can I talk to other family members about the advice and share it with them?
So Rose, I'm more than happy to provide your family with personal advice. However, each finance plan is specific to you, and having you achieve your goals is as important to us as it is to you. This advice is tailored specifically just to you and your situations, and it may not be right for other people.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Yes, this sits well with us. We'll answer as accurately and honestly as possible.
To do this, if you can answer the questions as openly and accurately as possible, we can better understand your needs and concerns. Any details you do not know, we'll itemise them for a follow-up meeting. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Let me know. Let me give you my card now
Thank you.
for future reference. How does that sit with you?
Great. We'll answer as accurately and honestly as possible.
Okay. Before we look more closely at your goals and objectives, let me find out more about you personally. So here is the fact find that you've completed. I just want to make sure that all the details are correct, i.e. your date of birth, email address, just all your real key information there. We'll just run through that quickly.
Yeah.
Is that all? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Let's begin with a few questions.
Okay.
So where are you currently living at the moment?
We're currently owning a property in New Farm in
Yeah.
Brisbane, and we also own another property in Kingsland.
Okay, so do you have any specific property goals?
Yes, we currently have two properties. The first is the Broadbeach Road and an investment property in Kingscliff. We have around $400,000 remaining on the family home and nothing owing on the investment property.
Okay, so it's the debt reduction goal stems from reducing this $400,000 mortgage that you currently have on the New Farm property. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you have a rough estimate of what you believe the properties may be worth?
Well, I guess the New Farm home would be worth roughly $1.2 million.
Yeah.
And the investment, I think, would be worth about $300,000.
Okay, that sounds very nice. Awesome. All right. Well, okay. So where are you both currently working at the moment?
I'm a graphic designer for BDF Designers.
Yeah.
And Rob works as a paediatrician at the Gold Coast Private Hospital.
Okay. And you mentioned that Robert wants advice on his superannuation. How can I help there?
In terms of superannuation, we really want to sort it out. It's in a mess, and we believe that we are paying too much money in investment fees. Also, we have seen on the news that there is an uncertainty surrounding Trump and the trade wars. So we would like to get Robert's portfolio as diversified as possible.
Okay, that's not a problem at all. So Rose, you also have a superannuation account. Would you like some advice in that area?
No thank you. I currently am happy with my superannuation fund and how it's being managed.
Okay, that's not a problem at all. Alright. So what about retirement? What are your expectations desire for your retirement?
Robert and myself are very tired and believe that we only have about 20 or so years left in us to be working and wish to retire at the age of 65. Therefore, we want to make sure that we have enough savings to provide the income we need to fund our lifestyle in retirement. We think we will roughly spend the same half of amount of money in retirement than we do now, because we hope the kids would have left home. So we need to plan for an expenditure which is about the same as what we spend now.
Okay.
Whatever the plan is, the money has to last.
Okay, it has to last. That's not a problem at all. We can definitely look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've also mentioned that you have debts of around 416,000. Tell me a bit more about this. Do you want this paid off, or do you have a timeline for this debt to be reduced?
We've had a couple of credit cards
Yeah.
and a home mortgage debt that we feel like they're not reducing at all, and we'd love to be debt free by the age of 55. We don't want product advice, as we can sort that out ourselves with our banks, but we do need your help with choosing the right strategy.
That's not a problem at all. Okay, so we would have sent out the email to you. Let's talk a bit about budgeting. How is your current household budget?
Well, we currently conduct a household that you emailed us about before the meeting.
Okay, yep.
We estimate that we roughly have a surplus for cash flow of $24,400 per annum.
Okay. So we're looking at about $2,000 per month. Yep. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, we'd love you to review it and make any suggestions you feel necessary.
That's not a problem at all. Okay, so we also just want to get a little overview as well. As much as it's about wealth creation and wealth protection. Wealth protection also stems from the estate planning sort of side. Do you currently have a will in place?
No, me and Robert don't have a will in place, but this has not been updated since. Well, we did have a will in place, but it's not been updated since the kids were born.
Okay, that's not a problem. So I just need to know as well. Do you have any other entities, i.e. trust, company,
No.
SMSF? You don't
No.
currently have any? That's okay, that's not a problem. Okay, so just the final one is, what about insurances? What are your expectations and desires for insurances?
Like I said before, Robert's older brother suffered a heart attack, and we're worried if the same happens to us or we pass away, we would be financially devastated.
Yeah.
So this is a major concern, as we wish to be protected in the case of that event.
So you don't have any current insurances in place at the moment, as it stands?
No.
Okay, there's no worries. No worries. We can assess your insurance needs and we'll advise you on any financial gaps or issues relating to your current situation. So obviously there are gaps because you don't have any insurance at the moment. So what we'll have to do a full needs analysis on that.
Okay.
To identify where these gaps are. Okay. So based on what you've told us, I know we can clearly help. There are a number of concerns. Now we need to determine the priorities of each area and develop an appropriate timeline to achieve each goals. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Let's do that.
So, Rose, getting advice on your existing superannuation fund and underlying funds invested correctly, what would you say was a timeline for that? And is it a high or priority or a low priority?
It is definitely a short-term time frame, and the priority would be a medium priority.
Okay, so it's about a medium priority. So you probably want to get this into place as soon as possible, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
As you sort of discussed that it's to do with the current trade wars and you want to get it diversified as possible.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Okay. So you've also got the two boys that you want to send to Prince High School. How important is this and how long will it take you to achieve this?
This would be a high priority for us, and the time frame to commence saving for this is medium term, ideally.
Okay, so same again, and so from what I read in the fact found, the kids are about 11 or 12-year-olds. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So they're probably going to be heading to Sky School very shortly.
Yeah.
So we need to set up saving plan, probably in the short term rather than the medium term. That's not a problem at all. Okay. In regards to your debt, you mentioned that you want to be debt free prior to the age of 55.
Yep, that's correct. So I guess you could say that's a high priority.
Okay, and would you identify this as your biggest goal moving forward?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a problem. Right, so now you would have conducted, in this fact find, you would have conducted a risk profile to identify your level of risk and how you associate it with returns. Now I've had a good, with any investment there is risk, obviously. Understanding how much risk you are comfortable with and prepared to take is an important part of any financial plan. So before we go through it, let me tell you your understanding of risk and what has come out in the fact find that you've completed.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, basically, when you look at risk, talk about risk to return trade-off, like that. So, your return on this end, axis, and risk on that axis. So, with the lower level of risk, the less return you'll receive. That's kind of the ideology behind it. So, you've got, when we do these, there's 4 or 5 different levels of risk profiles. You've got a conservative, a balanced, a growth, and a high growth. Now, from what's been conducted through the questionnaire that you completed in the fact find, you've been conducted as a high growth. So what does this mean? So high growth is when you look at a portfolio, you have two forms of assets. So asset 1 is defensive, asset 2 is growth. So your defensive assets, which are usually if you were going to put it back onto this scale, would be at the lower end, so they're lower risks. So you've got fixed interest, and you've also got cash. And then from a more of a growth sort of area, there's 3 or 4 different asset classes that you can pick. So you've got Australian shares, you've got international shares, you've got property, and you've got alternative. Now, as you discussed before, that Robert is looking for a diversified portfolio. So what we do, these get spread out. So what you'll hold a 17.5% holding of defensive assets, and you'll hold an 83% holding of growth assets.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Great.
Okay, that's cool. So, as I just said, growth is your risk profile. This implies that you're willing to consider assets with higher volatility, like you said, so like your Australian shares, international shares, property, and alternatives. As we said again, you're going to have your 83% in growth assets and your 17% in defensive. Now, does that sound about right? Alright, we will move on then.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, now let's talk a little bit more about your employment and your incomes. So, where are you currently working, Rose?
So I am employed on a permanent basis.
Yep.
My position is graphic designer, and I perform office duties mostly.
Okay. How about your husband?
He also is employed on a full-time basis, and he works 50 hours a week as a doctor.
Okay, that's fine. So, just to confirm, you've got your husband is a doctor. What type of doctor is he?
He's a paediatrician.
And that's a child's doctor. That's correct. No worries. And you said he is mostly on the floor. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's no problem. And yourself, you're in
A graphic designer. Yeah.
and you're basically office based. You're not going to be outside much.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason that we sort of ask them sort of questions is that when we go through the insurance process, insurers will like to know how you do your job.
Okay.
That's basically it. We're also going to we can also look into some tax concessions as well. So now moving on to a little bit more about your income. If it's okay with you, could you please provide me with a tax return? Then we can have it on file and make sure we've got all the correct information. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, no worries. But let's start with the information that we have. Rose, you mentioned you're a marketing manager and you earn $56,000 per year.
Mhm.
And Robert, he's a child doctor and he's earning about $98,000 per year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Are you making any extra contributions to super on top of this? So is it from either a non-concessional or a concessional?
No,
Contribution.
we're making super guarantee.
Okay, that's not a problem at all. That will also add into the tax return. Not a
Okay.
problem. Now let's talk about your current liabilities, including your credit card.
Mhm.
So what current liabilities do you have? You already mentioned you've got $400,000 on the property. Do you have any credit cards or anything like that?
We have 2 credit cards.
Yeah.
And the balance owing is 16,000.
Yeah. What kind of interest rate do you have on them at the moment?
It's a 15.6%
Yeah.
and 18.2%.
Okay.
And variable we pay principal and interest.
Okay. That's no worries.
We thought it was a good idea at the time, however, we have not been disciplined in paying off the outstanding balances, and we found that we have that we are accumulating significant interest on the outstanding balance.
Okay. Well, it seems like it's a bit of a concern for you. That's definitely something that we will resolve
Yeah,
well during, and we'll definitely address it in the statement of advice.
perfect.
Okay, so it's important that I get a total understanding of superannuation situation. This is important to be able to calculate and advise on your retirement planning objectives. We can get basic details now. Plus, can you also give me your current statement? So, would you be able to email that through to me?
Yeah,
So
that's no worries.
Okay. So, who are you with? That's the big question.
Suncorp, and we have a super balance of 350,000.
Who has the balance of 350,000? Sorry.
Robert does.
Okay, and what about yourself? I know you don't want any advice, but what is your current balance at the moment?
I have a superannuation fund with a balance of 200,000, and I'm with Host Plus Super.
Okay, do you have any idea of how that Host Plus account is invested?
No.
Okay, that's not a problem. We'll definitely, once you send through them statements, we'll definitely have a look into that for you.
Perfect.
That's cool. Now, is there any specific planning issues that you want? Anything specific that you're looking for in the superannuation accounts?
Yeah. I would like there to be minimum fees on the account,
Yep.
and to have the funds invested correctly.
Okay. Just to go back to what we were saying before, the investment property, does that have any, are you getting any income through that?
Yes, we do have other income from the Kingscliff rental property.
Yeah.
Of about 15,600 per annum.
Yep.
And
Okay.
it is owned in my name.
Okay, so Robert's got no owning in that at all. It's just
No,
yours.
it's just
Okay,
mine.
That's not a problem. Okay. We need to look specifically at retirement planning considerations. So the next question is designed to capture information about concerns you have in relation to your retirement planning and any specific issues that we need to address when making these recommendations. So when would you like to retire?
We would like to retire by the age of 65.
Yep.
And we both feel like our current lifestyle expenditure will halve in retirement.
Okay, that's not a problem. So you've sent for all the cash flow statements, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, that's no worries. We can definitely have a look into that. Okay, so moving on to insurance. So you've already established that you don't have any insurances in place.
Neither of us have any insurance in place.
Okay, that's cool. So let's outline the key requirements for you guys. What would you need to cover in the event if something went wrong?
So to clear any debts, the immediate cover would need to be for the credit cards,
Yep.
the mortgage,
Yeah.
and also be able to cover our current living expenses.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what it would cost, but it needs to be covered.
Yeah.
So we really do only want to receive advice in relation to paying off our debts in the event that we both passed away.
Okay, that's not a problem. So you only want advice on your debts, paying off your debts.
Yeah, basically.
That's cool. Rose, I do need to say that it confirms me that you only want to pay off your debt and not consider your family's protection in the in the result of your unlikely death. So there's obviously other insurances available.
Mhm.
So you have got death insurance, is what you were talking about,
Yeah.
and there's also terminal disability. This is if you can never go back to work
Okay.
from a serious terminal injury.
Mhm.
You've also got trauma insurance, which covers you if you get a life-threatening disease,
Mhm.
cancers, anything like that. And then you've also got income protection. So this is if you can't go back to work for an injury or illness as well.
Okay.
This concerns me if you're going to cover your debt, but you've also need to realise that you've also got your income.
Okay.
So if you can't pay back, if you pass away, you're obviously going to lose some form of income, or if Robert passes away, you're going to lose 7 grand worth of income. So definitely when we do this needs analysis, we also need to have a look at that as well.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're open to having a look into these risks?
Yeah, we understand that these are risks and we'll look into those.
So you're happy for me to do a full analysis and then we'll have a discussion at a later date?
Yep, that's fine.
Now, how much do you think your home contents is worth?
I would have no idea, but let's say about 60,000.
60,000. Okay. In the way of assets, do you also have any cars at the moment?
Yes, we have a Jeep Wrangler worth roughly about 30 grand.
Yeah.
And Rob has an Audi A4 worth about 70 grand.
Very nice. Okay. Now, do you have any savings or any other bank accounts?
We have 17,000 across 2 separate bank accounts.
Yeah.
Although we would like to retain and not use in our goal making.
Okay, that's not a problem. So you don't want in any of our projections or like any of our advice. You don't want anything to do. You want the cash.
Yeah, we want to say that.
Okay, that's not a problem at all. Okay, so how long would you be willing to invest your money for? Would you need access to it?
We would be willing to leave it for 7 years or more.
Okay, so you do realise if it goes into some form of investment, you might not be able to get your money out, or there may be fees or exit fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Rose, I've asked you all the standard questions, and I feel I have a little bit stronger understanding of your current situation. Is there any questions relating to your financial situation that I haven't asked, or that you hoped I would ask?
No, you've covered everything.
Great. So now what the process is we go back to this development and analyst stage.
Mm-hmm.
So this will go back to our power plants,
Yep.
and we'll go through and we'll have a look at what you can achieve from your money.
Mm-hmm.
From the list that we discussed before, with your high priorities and your low priorities, and we'll go through and we'll try and break them down as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go any further, I just want to give a bit of an explanation about how we charge.
Okay.
Yeah. So you look here. So for the full onboarding of you as a client,
Yep.
so that's your time today's meeting, the writing and the research that goes into your statement of advice,
Yep.
the presentation of your advice, the implementation of your advice.
Mm-hmm.
We set a fee of around $3,000.
Okay.
Then, if once you've proceeded, the following year we'll have a review meeting,
Mm-hmm.
which will go through and see how you, like I said before, we'll see how you're tracking. They're $1,500 per year. Are you happy to proceed with that?
Yeah, we're happy to proceed.
You'd just like to sign there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to this. Generally, these statement of advice take 10 to 15 business days to
Yeah.
write. It has to go through 2 compliance checks first
Okay.
for our licensee.
Mhm.
So when can we arrange the next appointment?
I'm free next on the 15th of August.
Well, that's perfect. All right. Well, that's all I need to know for today. I'll get the girls to be in contact.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any questions, I'm sure they'll give you a phone call and we'll run through it.
Perfect.
Okay, no worries. We have a lovely day. It was so nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much.